Zorine, guess what? This is your moment to impress everyone with your topic, the very first episode of
And I think I'm going to bring a highly unpopular opinion to the table, but I am of the opinion that Overwatch as a competitive esport will not be taking off. Like, I think as a whole, Overwatch as a gaming experience is very good. It's a really tight, well-polished experience that Blizzard has brought us. But as visually, as a competitive esport for a spectator, it still has a ways to go. So we're starting to see Overwatch events, and Blizzard has been quite public about its support for the competitive scene. And because the game is so visually chaotic, I think Overwatch will struggle to offer a good spectator experience. So the last major tournament my friends and I were watching, we marveled more at the end game screen, like statistics, than the actual strategies that were being used. So my question is, do you guys think that Overwatch can succeed as a competitive game?
I've written about this before, and I'm on record on multiple occasions saying that I don't necessarily believe in Overwatch as a premier sport. But on the other hand, I have been watching a lot of the OGN League. I started watching the BlizzCon League, the BlizzCon tournament that they're holding right now, and I think it's getting better. I think it's getting to the point where the things that are going to have to improve are kind of minor things. I think that the spectator view could be a lot better. I think that I guess that's not really a minor thing. That's kind of a large thing, isn't it?
It's a big thing. You're watching it as a spectator.
But there are some tweaks that could be made. I mean, I think they need to spend more time in third-person mode rather than watching the players' perspectives. And that's just an observer situation. I think the casting is getting a lot better, and especially with the notable inclusions of former League of Legends casters. I guess maybe not necessarily former all the way, but
current.
Who knows? Who knows what these two guys are doing? But Doa and Monte Cristo are both hopping over, who are very famed names in League of Legends, and they're getting really good at casting Overwatch, and that's been a really big joy to watch. So I think that I'm still skeptical, but I think that we're getting to the point where we can start thinking about maybe we need to really take a deep dive into Overwatch.
Taylor, have you seen any of the numbers? I think I looked at it this weekend and saw that the BlizzCon tournament, I think it was getting somewhere around like 45 or 50K on Twitch.
Which isn't terrible for a tournament that doesn't feature any actual teams. It's just the players.
Yeah, it's early group stage.
It's early group stages. Yeah. I'm really curious to see how the later stages go with this tournament. I'm going to be watching intently.
Yeah, Michael Martin.
Overwatch is a strange thing for me because I think casually a lot of people like the game. They loved it when it came out. I think a lot of people still do. As a competitive game, though, I agree that I don't feel like it's going to be this high-profile competitive game that will maybe overtake some of the other ones that are out there. That said, 50,000 viewers watching Overwatch, that's a great day on a fighting game finals day. But I don't know, there's something about it that strikes me as it just seems like it'll have a difficult time appealing and just, I guess, getting to the point where it is a higher profile game. It could be that it's hard to watch. I watched the Gears of War tournament recently, MLG's Gears of War tournament, and as much as I love Gears of War, I can kind of see where that game is kind of hard to follow for just a casual viewer because the action's really chaotic. And so I can definitely see that with Overwatch. I don't know, it just feels like that game just appeals to a lot more people casually rather than competitively. So I think it may struggle in that sense.
I think, look, for me, on my side of this, I think all they need to do is fix spectator. If they fix spectator, Overwatch has all the ingredients you need, right? Like, it's got publisher backing, the big names are getting into it, there's a lot of conversation around it. I even think the game itself is appealing to the masses, which I think is a really big, like, part of the reason I think League has found so much success, even above Dota and other games, which some would argue are more competitive or whatever, right? Is that it is just has a broad appeal. All the different characters that are there is an option. It's so easy to get into. You just hop in and you start shooting. So for me, I definitely think that all you need to do is fix the spectator experience and you'll be fine. I just don't know if Blizzard's going to be able to do that. They seem... Blizzard and esports is so weird. They seem to always have it within their grasp, and then it just kind of slips through, right? Like,
it's almost there. Everything's always like on the verge of being.
Yeah. Our dearly departed Dylan, Heroes of the Storm, right? Like, hey, that's a game that if it had come out around the time of League or Dota, or even like as those games were growing, it would have had a chance, I think.
But I think the major issue here isn't necessarily the ease of getting into the game or the ease of watching it. It's really going to be, in the long term, sort of the perceived depth of the game. Because like, can the game stand up strategically against something like League of Legends or Dota or Counter-Strike? Obviously, we haven't gotten to that point where the meta has really evolved yet into a full-on competitive esport. But in the long term, this sort of spectator stuff and the ability to get people to play the game doesn't really matter for it as a premier esport. It's going to be really, can they keep the competitive side of the game exciting for over a long period of time?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be able to do that with patches and introductions of new characters.
It could be a fundamental issue with the game. I mean, the game's just pretty fast and actiony to begin with.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say no, they can't.
Why?
Well, because, I mean, Blizzard has shown that they've struggled with making their games esports, and it's just not something you can force. And patches just won't necessarily change that.
Well, on that depressing note, we are out of time to talk about that. Check out Yahoo Esports Live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific.